You know, something that I noticed in anime is the frequency of action anime to incorporate villain team-ups as they reach the end game of an arc or the series as a whole. Turns out that one of the best allies you can have when everything's on the line is the villain that you beat an arc or two ago, or in some cases, about 10 minutes ago. Today's list, we're going to go through some of the best moments in anime where the hero teams up with a villain character. Let's start by counting down some of my favorite moments, and trust me when I say that these team-ups can happen just out of nowhere, and sometimes even be quite comedic, it seems. Before we begin, if you're up for some anime memorabilia, what comes to your mind? Why don't I suggest something different and introduce you to today's sponsor, Displate. Displate is your premier source for a one-of-a-kind metal poster that will surely be a great addition to your anime collection. With the wonders of modern technology, Displate's come up with a way to share and flaunt your love for anime through its products that feature a durable and unique magnet mounting system. Featuring millions of designers that can include not only anime and manga, but also other interests, I guarantee that Displate will have the perfect picture for you. Whether you want something related to Demon Slayer, Attack on Titan, Hunter x Hunter or something else, Displate's catalogue will make you spend hours on end browsing for the best art. Oh, and another nifty thing is that for every item sold, Displate has pledged to plant a tree. In case you're interested in using this service, I've provided a link for you to get a discount. If you're getting 1 or 2 posters, the link will provide 25% discount, but if you decide to get 3 or more, the discount shoots up to 33%. That's so much value, I tell you, and it's available for only 2 weeks starting now. Get a Displate poster, get a poster that will last a lifetime.
これを一瞬でつなげるカグヤとは一体何者だ
You know, I just love it when the ultimate rival slash villain of sorts in an anime turns up for the final fight and provides some much needed help. Obito's story has captivated me for so long, and seeing its conclusion and culmination in this change of heart and helping the heroes against the series' final boss did give me a lot of joy. It's a long story of vengeance, and it's all led up to this big redemption arc. I know this fight's supposed to be Team 7's time to shine and showcase the teamwork from the main trio we started with. It's been so long since we've seen the 3 of them fight together, and after multiple seasons, we finally see a more mature and complete version of it now. Obviously, I don't mind the fact that Obito got thrown in there because besides Sasuke, I feel that Obito is the perfect foil to Naruto, and he does belong in this final battle. Overall, it's a pretty cool fight. I may not be too high on Kaguya suddenly appearing out of nowhere and taking over as the last boss, but she did open up a chance for us to see not just Team 7 work together without outside interference, but also Obito's ultimate redemption.
Naruto, お前は必ず火影になれ。
Yes, it's the finale of Bungo Stray Dog's second part, giving us the much-awaited team-up between lifelong rivals and bitter enemies Atsushi and Akutagawa. I feel that this fight straddles the line between a villain team-up and a rival team-up, but I think that Akutagawa's firmly on the antagonist side early on anyway. Regardless, I think that I couldn't have asked for a better way to finish the anime. It's a pretty cool team-up between the 2 enemies, and I like how, despite having to put their differences aside for this epic collision, both Atsushi and Akutagawa gave us no shortage of banter towards each other. Teeth-clenched teamwork at its finest, all while showing us that they should put their differences aside. They could possibly be the greatest dream team in the whole series due to how their abilities synergize with one another. Amazing way to end what I feel like is one of the most underrated action anime in the modern era. We move on with Inuyasha and Sesshomaru versus Naraku. Inuyasha and Sesshomaru have a complicated history to say the least. Most of it has to do with Sesshomaru's sword obsession, but let's just say that for the most part of the series, the 2 have barely seen eye to eye. They've also given us some of the most iconic early-day Inuyasha battles, with them trying to one-up each other in techniques and sheer power in their alternate forms. However, the brothers are apparently not too against teaming up once in a while, especially when a much bigger threat looms on the horizon. Enter Naraku. In fact, the action climax of the final Inuyasha arc involves a battle against Naraku where the Inuyasha party teams up with Sesshomaru himself, rough edges and all. It's been a long character arc for the latter, and it culminates in this team-up. It just feels so right to see the 2 brothers fighting side by side for the action-packed finale of the series. And while I won't say it's the #1 best battle in the series, it was still a joy to watch. Following that, we have Inuyashiki and Shishigami teaming up to stop the meteor. Ever since the start of the Inuyashiki series, we've been presented with two forces in conflict, two ideals embodied in two bodies that are so physically contrasting. Inuyashiki and Shishigami have been at each other's throats for as long as I can remember, and they very clearly illustrate the two ends of the spectrum for people who've been empowered by circumstance. However, when news of an incoming meteor collision hits, Inuyashiki finds his strongest ally in the form of his mortal enemy. Yes, it was Shishigami who comes to his rescue, proposing the most outlandish proposal of self-destructing and sacrificing himself for the good of mankind. The scene makes for one very emotional ending to see that towards the end, the slightest hint of heroism still gets awakened in the mercurial youth, and the constant clashes between the two superpowered people manage to bring out the good in someone. Envy and Edward Elric had a rough first meeting. They never really saw eye to eye with one another, even putting him in position to finish our hero. Former enemies would be forced into temporary alliance when circumstances land both of them inside Gluttony's subspace. Inside the stomach of another homunculus, the two, along with Ling, get forced to temporarily team up. After all, no one wants to die, right? And at that point, they've only got each other to rely on. So, as you'd expect, the alliance was short-lived, but for that brief moment, it feels surreal to see Edward work so well with someone who nearly killed him not too long ago. I'd also like to believe that it was this brief moment of teaming up that played a part, no matter how small it was, in Envy's final realization that leads to his eventual demise. His death in front of Ed is a powerful moment in the show, and I'd like to think that this temporary alliance with a human helped push him to the brink of his breakdown. In death, he sees Edward no longer as an enemy to kill while he delivers his tearful goodbye.
その日を迎えるまで進み続ける。そうだろう、兄さん。
Eren and Zeke form one of the more unlikely alliances in Season 4 of Attack on Titan. Yep, you heard that right. Eren, the protagonist of the series, spends time working in tandem with the much maligned and utterly despised Zeke during Season 4 of Attack on Titan. It's wild, right? However, for someone who's more of an insider or updated to the whole thing, this unholy alliance may not be that surprising after all. As we've known now, spoiler alert, Eren's not the most by-the-book and heroic protagonist in anime, and given the developments in the last season of Attack on Titan, I doubt you can even call him that description in the slightest sense of the word. The alliance with Zeke would not make sense on paper, but after going through the series, it did start to make sense. However, this isn't as glamorous of an alliance as you'd expect. We can tell that it's a more manipulative relationship, whereas it's people using each other to further their goals. It's a long-term play for selfish goals, but it is what it is. Instead, we can think that it's one of the greatest facets of Attack on Titan as a series in action, and I feel inclined to include it on this list.
エレン、必ずみんなを救ってあげよう。てめえが勝よ語るんじゃねえ。
I feel like Gintama as a series is one of those shows that revolves heavily around the past. His long-standing rivalry with Takasugi has been well documented, but do you remember the epic time when they fought together against another face from the past? Yes, Oboro makes his much-awaited return, ambushing the tired Gintoki and Takasugi after they had one of the greatest fights the series has given us. The actual team-up between Gintoki and Takasugi is rather short, but with epic moments like Takasugi repaying the favor and striking down Oboro's eye, is length really an issue? As much as Gintoki and Takasugi can passionately fight against each other, they can also form a very powerful combination when fighting alongside each other. Given the condition of both men when Oboro arrived, I doubt that they could logically win the match on the spot, but only fools would count the two of them out any day of the week. Gamui and Gargura joining the party was just the icing on top of the cake. At number 3 is Hisoka teaming up with Gon and Killua.
勝負
レイザーのボールをゴンが止め
Did I hear that right? The sociopath deranged Hisoka teaming with our good guys? Yes, it really did happen, and of course it's not on the battlefield. However, would anyone have expected this surprising team-up of epic proportions to happen in a dodgeball match? A very high-stakes one at that too. Greed Island provided us a lot of memorable moments, and I think that seeing the two people who pretty much tried to beat each other to oblivion in Heaven's Arena team up to play ball feels amusing. They also work surprisingly well too, given that they're enemies and all. Well, I do believe that your greatest enemy or rival does have a tendency to be the person you have the most chemistry with, given how you seem seem to know each other inside out. On another note, this is Hisoka's best memories with friends, as some people say. With how the scene was presented, we could come up with innuendos all day and the like, and that's something quite funny, yet a bit sad at the same time when you step back and think about the implications of the scene. Second place is Luffy and Crocodile teaming up during Impel Down.
元も含め七部会2人とは
2人？誰だ？
If you still remember, Luffy had one of the worst beatdowns done at the hands of none other than the nefarious Crocodile. The two had a series of battles for the ages, and once everything was said and done, it's really hard to envision Crocodile as an uneasy ally anytime soon. I mean, it didn't even have the cool rival vibes that villains who turn somewhat good have. Still, there's nothing too impossible when our characters have their backs against the wall. This gets proven true when Luffy once again encounters Crocodile. Despite the former's hesitation, Crocodile gets freed and helps lead a breakout of Impel Down. It probably turned out to be one of the best decisions Luffy could have made in that arc. The idea of him fighting alongside the hated villain is cool enough, but his newfound ally proves his worth in several ways. Now I say that because Crocodile spends a good amount of time protecting Luffy from the wrath of both Akainu and Mihawk. And not just Luffy, he even saves Ace as well. Who knows what would have happened if Crocodile hadn't been on the good guy's side in that arc. Coming at the top of the list is Goku and Frieza versus Jiren. Among the Dragon Ball villains, Frieza is probably one of the most iconic ones out there. There are a lot of other iconic enemies of the Z Warriors there, but when it comes to a personal connection with Goku, few come close. I say that with prefacing that I meant actual complete monster villains, so Vegeta kind of gets a pass on this one. However, as the video has taught us time and time again, all it takes to get the most bitter of enemies to team up and show the world what they're capable of if they stop bickering is an even bigger enemy to battle. Enemy of my enemy is my friend, as they say. I don't know about you, but I get the impression that seeing Goku and Frieza work together in Dragon Ball Super does feel like a culmination of a childhood fantasy to some. Imagine spending your time watching the very epic Namek arc unfold as a kid and finally seeing them work together as a young adult now. Really gives some goosebumps and an interesting perspective of how long we've come since then. The battles come down to more of a battle of wills instead of who can grow his hair longer or throw in the most broken planet obliterating beams. And that right about concludes this list. Those are some cool moments where the hero teams up with the villain, and if you agree that those are some great moments, don't hesitate to hit the like button and share the video with your friends and communities. The countdown videos could be your cup of tea and all, but if you prefer something like video essays instead, I'll leave a link on the upper right corner for you to check out my video essay channels. There, I talk about some popular anime, mostly Attack on Titan, and some of my thoughts about the industry and community. If you care to hear some opinions from ViniiTube, don't forget to drop by ViniiTube Kai. You may also support the channel through two channels: memberships, which grant you access to some exclusive videos on some anime such as ReZero and Sword Art Online, or my Patreon, which will help fund better and more improved videos to come. The choice is yours, and whichever way you decide to help will definitely make me extra happy. Don't forget to check out the sponsors of this video displayed. The link's in the description. I'll end with that for now, and I hope to see you again next time.